Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, episode 21. My name's Phil Daly. I'm the head of media and PR. It's our weekly review, usually on a Monday, but because of Easter, we've bumped it over to the Tuesday. So thanks for joining us. And we'll be looking back on the Good Friday win over Huddersfield Giants and ahead to a huge game this week against Hull Kingston Rovers here at AMT Headingley. And I'm delighted to be joined on this week's episode by our Sporting Director Ian Blease. And we'll also talk about contracts, signings, and everything that goes into building a squad, not just for this year, but for the years ahead, and the amount of planning that goes into that. Ian, welcome back. You were on the Q&A podcast once before, but your first time, debut on the review podcast. Welcome on board.
Thanks for asking me, Phil. Pleasure.
Looking back to that Good Friday game, a good win, a mark maybe of where Brad's at with this team, that he was disappointed they conceded that Tom Burgess try late on, but a win's a win. 2 points helps us climb the table.
Yeah, I think looking back at the whole game, I thought it was a competent performance. I thought the boys went pretty well there. Built it up at half time. I think everybody sort of like knew at half time within the dressing room that we were going to make sure we came through in the second half, which is exactly what we did. I thought there was some strong performances, especially in the forwards. They're going well at the moment. And we're building something. We've not had a settled spine really this year, which is important for people to remember. We want to get Brodie back, obviously, but I think Jake and obviously Jack Sinfield probably coming in soon. Will do a great job for us there.
Yeah, looking at the game as well, 6-0 at half time. Actually, when we look back over the game, there was so many chances as well. Tom Orr had a try disallowed. Yeah. Keenan Palacia close to getting that ball down, gets pulled back for a forward pass. There was another disallowed try as well. So there were chances there. And really not losing faith with the process was key.
Brad's, drilling it into him every training session. Stick with it. We've got to, and you look at the stats. We've been looking heavily at the stats last few weeks, really. And the stats look really good. Don't always base everything on stats, obviously you can't. But we're really going well in the stats point of it. And I think the attitude out there sort of like justifies what you see in the stats as well, in terms of how we're playing. But we're still a long way to go yet. We know that. We've got to keep sticking to what Brad's telling them to do and the game plans, which is very important. Big game this week against KR. We're not getting carried away, but I think you can see the improvements. The physicality, Brad's always going on about that. He's pretty good. Defence looks good on the stats again, but you can see it visually. Line speed's pretty good. We're not letting a lot of tries in, which is always a good thing as well. So, yeah, I'm quite pleased where we're at, but we've got a lot to do yet.
That last line of defence and the man organising at the back is Lockie Miller. He's really getting into his stride now. Lots of big meters, lots of involvements in the game. Goal kicking now as well, added a string to his bow. He's really getting up to speed now, isn't it, Lockie?
Yeah, Lockie's a class player, and I was excited when I came here to see what he could produce. He obviously had a setback in pre-season with his injury, but you can see how important he is to us as a team. He organises well, he's vocal. And what I love about him is he's just not scared to get involved. Even, he can make a mistake like we all can, but he comes straight back after it. He's a great player. I really enjoy watching him.
And someone else who's hitting their stride, Cooper Jenkins. I know there was a lot of excitement within the rugby management side of things when we got Cooper signed. There was a lot of interest in him when he finished the season so strong with Norse over there. But he really seems to be, as the weather gets better, the track gets firmed up, he seems to be really coming into his own in Super League.
He's looking more and more competent as a player every week. I think he's growing. He's growing with the guidance from the rest of the team and the coaching staff as well. And when he made that break, I thought he was going to score one of the sticks, but his legs got carried away with him a little bit there. Similar to think Lasoni did it as well earlier in the season, didn't he? But yeah, pleased for Cooper. Great guy as well. And definitely been a good signing for us, yeah.
When you're signing a player like that who's not played first grade in Australia, albeit at a good standard in Queensland club, what is it you're looking for that you think, they'll be able to step up to Super League?
Again, you look at the stats, it's always good to look at, but it's difficult, isn't it? When they're coming from like the reserve grade comp, it's difficult to think, well, can they actually do it in Super League when you're talking about bringing somebody over from reserve grade in Australia? But you watch the games, full games, not highlights. The agents will send you the highlights, but you've got to watch full games to see what the off-the-ball stuff's like and the movements and stuff like that. So it's you can get, I think being in the game, you get a general feel for who can do it and who can't. Not always true. You don't always get it right, as I've always said that. But I think he's one we've got right, and I'm really excited to what he can bring for the rest of the season. And I think having Keenan next to him as well, experience NRL playing. We've got our own guys as well within that team, homegrown. It's a good mixture.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine how well he's doing now. That really, this is he came from the reserve grade at Newcastle, went to Norse, had a very successful season with them last year. but the week-to-week grind of competitive rugby now, you would give him a bit of a pass to take some time to get up to speed, but he really he's hitting his straps now.
Yeah, and I think you can see that in his performances, the way, and his attitude's really good as well. He's first class, he's training, he's always at the front, he's fit, he's a fit guy. And again, that's something you look out for, and you do your due diligence on the fitness and the training in the background, what that type of player's like. And I'm really pleased for him because, like I say, he's a good kid, but he's got good players around him at the moment, and I think the forward pack are going really well. But like I keep saying, we've still got a lot of work to do yet.
And talking to good people, you were able to bring one back to the club in recent times in Callum Watkins, a man you know very well from your time at Salford. Before we get into his performance on Friday, just give us a bit of background how that deal came about. And obviously we know about Salford's trials and tribulations, sadly, but how you managed to get that one over the line.
Yeah, and it's not the most pleasant of circumstances doing something like that, is it, to a club that obviously I've got great fondness for. But they contacted me basically, obviously with the situation, and thankfully, a bit of haggling, we got to a deal that brought Callum back here. There's a longer term plan for him in my mind, and probably some other people's as well. But we're not doing it for the short term. We've got him for this year. I'm in negotiations with him for next year now, hopefully, and then we'll see what the future brings for Cal. But he's part of the Leeds, makeup, isn't he? He's come through the systems, he's done well, he's a legend here, and I want to try and bring him somehow through our academy youth system perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to have him back. Just seeing him around the place and how he talks to people and carries himself. If you've not seen it yet, check out Box 2 in association with Best Western GB, where Jamie Jones Buchanan has a long sit down with Callum and talks about how his philosophy around life has changed and how he approaches both his game and his life as a whole, and how the priority with his family and making sure that he was back on the rugby field enjoying himself. It was interesting talking to him after the game. I said, was it nice just to focus on playing a game of rugby? He said just the weight lifted off his shoulders, and so pleased for him to get over for that try as well.
Yeah, it was great to see, and he's been through a lot like the rest of the players are going through it at Salford at the moment. He's been through the mire there, hasn't he? And it was great to see. When he scored, I just sat there thinking that's a class moment. That he's a class person. It was a class moment when he scored, and I thought he had a great game as well. His movement in the middle, looked really good. He'll be a good player for us this year and hopefully next.
And we talked about squad building, and presumably at the start of the year, the addition of a quality player like Callum, if the opportunity arises, we'll take it, but you can't plan for it. But the fact that we were able to bring him in now, it was noticeable that Keenan Placid got a good rest in that second half. Didn't come in that second half. James McDonnell has played every minute of every game. He came off. So particularly around those positions, this is where the situation we wanted to be in pre-season. It's now manifesting itself.
Yeah, and it's something that you can't plan, Phil. You're right. It's, take that opportunity when it arises, which is what we'll do. If we think it's going to be benefit the team. Brad's spelling people well now. If you look at people who win the grand finals and cups, it's about having depth in the squad. We've got a bit of it now, I think, but we've got some key injuries as well that we're not bleating on too much about, but we've definitely gone through the mire a little bit with the injuries, but we've got a good squad. Brad's going to have some headaches in the next few weeks, I think, when people start to come back. We need to get that settled spine. I think to complement the forwards are going really well. We just need some execution a bit better now, I think, in the attack.
When you look at how that side's been playing over the last couple of weeks, you throw in Brodie Croft, Andy Ackers, Cameron Smith, Ethan Clark-Woods, they're in the mix. There's lots there to ponder over.
Yeah, you're right. And I keep saying about having that settled spine, and Ethan's not had, he got a hip drop in a reserves game last 5 minutes, I think, so he's got syndesmosis, but he'll be back in a couple of weeks. Brodie's back. Cam, I think we've missed, and he'll be a great addition when he comes back. So it'll be really interesting to see what the starting lineup will be. But that's about, it's a long season. And me and Brad have had these conversations. You need them quality players in and around a club if you want to be successful.
And we talk about squad building and everything else. It's that sort of silly season now in rugby league where everyone's talking about next year. We're 10 rounds in this year, but we're already talking about next year. Before we get into the details of that, how busy are you this time? Is the phone ringing red hot all the time?
Yeah, this time of year is particularly busy, but it never really stops. I think we've had this conversation before, Phil. It's all year round, really. You've got to keep your handling, and a lot of the Australian agents come over now for Magic Weekend, so we've got some meetings already planned in for that. And so we're looking to strengthen. We've got to consolidate. We've got to get some consistency within the squad, and that's what we're keen on. We've announced a couple of signings in the last week or so, and hopefully we'll announce a couple more going forward. So yeah, it's a busy time. I'm not on my own. Other clubs are doing exactly the same at this time of year, but we want to build a squad that the club can be proud of.
You mentioned the Australian agents coming over. There was speculation before the Good Friday game about Morgan Gannon's future. We won't go into the specifics of that. Hopefully there'll be a resolution to that in the next few days either way, so that both the club and Morgan can move on with the rest of the season. But how big of a challenge is it, do you think, for Super League clubs as a whole? Because we've seen St Helens players, Warrington players, Wigan players, or young players, young British players, all attracted by the lure of the NRL. How tough is that marketplace? And we lose those talents to Super League.
We do. We've got a problem in the game, Phil. Haven't we? We have with our youngest players. Hopefully, I've been speaking to Morgan and his management team for the last few months now, and it'll be Morgan's choice what he does, and we'll respect that. But I think the game has got to somehow come up with a solution for this. We are losing them. The salary cap's big difference in Australia, and hey, as a professional, do you want to go and play the NRL? Yeah, you probably do. But I think it's all about timing and getting the timing right as a player. You've got to realise when the right time is for you to go there if the opportunity does arise. And that's up to Morgan and his management and his family to decide when that is. But he's a great kid. We don't want to lose him, but we've made a substantial offer for him. So hopefully he'll make the right decision.
And that offer is in the mix with a number of offers that they talk about 4D chess, don't they, these days? You're trying to plan several moves ahead. You can't offer money to someone else that you've promised to another player, and there's clauses in contracts with performance, upgrades in people's contracts. It must be a real tricky situation for you, that you've got to get all those pieces in place.
Yeah, the salary cap, you've got to be, 1 or 2 years in advance. I'm already looking at 2028 now and 2027, obviously. And hopefully we can, like I say, get some consistency within the squad. Make sure that the players, we don't want anybody at the club who doesn't want to be here, do we? That's not what we're about. We want people who want to sign. And we're confident that we can build them into a better player. And obviously that's off the back of the hard work that we do on and off the pitch and working with the agents and stuff like that. So it's a very important time for us to secure some of the players who we're now talking with. And there's a few more we've got to secure yet. And then we're going to next year, looking at next year, and balancing that salary cap in a sport that is governed by that is difficult, but that's just what we've got to do.
Yeah, and there's a large number next year that are out of contract. So you're already planning those things, and presumably you have to be mindful this year that you don't give away money that you're going to need in next year's cap.
Yeah, and the new rules say that the players can speak to other clubs by the 1st of December the preceding year when they're out of contract. So that's brought another added complication into the mix of it all. And the agents are on it now pretty soon. I'm meeting one next week, ready for the year after. So yeah, you've got to be well in advance of it now. And I'm conscious of that, and we'll do what's right for the club, obviously.
And presumably that's why young players are so important to clubs, because you can bring through a talent. We've invested heavily in recent times now with Chev Walker being the transition coach to pass. Chev's doing a fantastic job with his team, really academy reserves. Scholars have had a great start to the season. There's a real crop of for talent. If you've not watched the games yet from the Scholars from this season and the academy, check them out. There's some fantastic talent in that team. Young Tuala at centre in the Scholars is a great player. I remember his dad playing here in rugby union with Tykes a few years back, and he's a bit more athletic than his old man was, but he's a very powerful runner. So it's important that those young players, because we can see the pathway and give them the pathway to Super League, that we do invest in that. And Leeds has always been known for invest, and that's going to continue here.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I want for this club. It's so exciting to see how many we've got coming through the systems now. John Bastian and Simon Bell, and now Chev's in the role. And actually the backroom team of S&C and physio, everybody's really good at doing what they're doing now. And I've watched a few games, especially scholarship last week at Lee were outstanding, And like you say, I recommend going watching. I don't want to give too many names around though, Phil, in case people come sniffing. But no, they all want to play for Leeds at this moment in time. John and Simon do a great job steering them into our pathway systems. And some really good results coming through at the moment. So I'm very excited for the future. And obviously it was done way before I got here, that the reserves team and the academy team coming through now. There's some special players within there. And that'll be the backbone of our team going forward over the next coming years. I've done a succession plan already to see who that might be. It does change. Of course it changes because things happen. But I think we've got a really good nucleus of good youth coming through.
And them seeing players who come through the academy in the first team squad, so it's aspirational. If you, the saying is, if you can see it, you can be it. The fact that they can see not just the next crop in Jack Sinfield or Riley Lumb, but also at the other end of the scale, Callum Watkins, Ryan Hall, who've been there and done it. They know, they can actually see where if they make the right decisions, where that can take.
Yeah, so important that, isn't it? And obviously we need to be that club who looks after them and gives them that, really support throughout their career with good coaching and good people around them. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they develop. We've got some good youngsters coming through, and we'll back them all the way to be a Leeds player for life.
I mentioned Riley Lumb there. He's recently signed a new deal. He wasn't out of contract, but we've gone in to do a new deal. Is that to reward him for his efforts, and he's now standing within the squad?
Yeah, I think it's a good example of what I want to do. Is when they get in and they prove it. It didn't take a lot for us to see what talent Riley had, but we didn't know it was going to come this year. We thought it might have been the year or the year after that, but he's taken it with both hands. Really excited for him. His agent was great with me when we wanted to do a longer term deal. Obviously, he's got a reward off the back of that, and that's what you earn in life, isn't it? You're successful, and you get your rewards off the back of it, and that's what I want to do with the club and the players that I've seen up to now. There'll be a few more of them, definitely.
And that's something Leeds have always done in terms of rewarding young players. Some clubs, because of the manager and the salary cap, young players get sat on that money right to the end of their contract, and then you try and negotiate. Whereas if you reward early on, then the hope is you keep those guys.
Yeah, and that's what we're aiming to do. You put your marker in there, and they earn the rewards off the back of that. And I think Riley's a good example. Alfie's there, Jack's coming through, hasn't he? And we've got some others now on the periphery. We're going to be coming. A lot of them do the education as well. A lot of them are coming to the end of their education now this month, and they're becoming full time within the first team. So we've got a few other good players now who will be coming through the system.
And in terms of recruitment, one left field one we saw last week was Christian Wade coming from Gloucester Rugby Union going to Wigan. Is that a potential marketplace for us? Rugby Union players?
And we do. We employ a consultant to look at the rugby union market for us, and he's busy watching every week. So we've had a few looks at a few players, and that's an avenue that obviously people do because they don't get counted on your cap. But it's difficult. It's not like it used to be back when rugby unions could transition pretty easily. I think it's a bit more difficult now. So yeah, we've got our eye on that market, and John and Simon look at the rugby union market. I think some of our academy players have come through the rugby union systems as well. So yeah, we've got our eye on that as well.
Yeah, you'd have played with some lads who came over from rugby union, and that it was the big payday that you were coming across and turning professional, and suddenly more money than you'd ever had playing rugby. Rugby union wages now to come to rugby league, they might even need to take a drop to come, even though they're not on cap. Right. They're on a lot of money as top performer in rugby union, and presumably you've got to take a bit of a punt that they can make it. It's
more of a risk now, isn't it? I think because of them reasons you've just said there. So it's got to be the right person and the right player, but. Yeah, like I say, we've had a look. We've been closer to one or two, but we'll pick up the right one, I guess, when it's ready.
Yeah, I think we'll all watch with bated breath, see how it works out. And it's great that we're going to have gone out and get that rugby union talent in. If that becomes a pathway for rugby league again, more the merrier, because we want to build that gene pool of players, don't we, to grow the game. Looking ahead to Friday, you mentioned it briefly there, Hull KR, it's going to be a cracking night here at AMT Headingley. Hull KR fans are going to travel in big numbers, get down here, get the support. I mean, how much does it mean to the guys to have a stadium really making some noise? We've had it a couple of times this year where it's really, the roof's been lifted off. It's going to need to be that from kick-off on Friday.
Fabulous. It's really good. The boys really appreciate it. I've said it before and other things that, to have the crowd cheering that south stand and the rest of the stadium is amazing when it gets in full voice. But we've got to make that happen on the pitch as well, haven't we? And I think this week's going to be a big test for us to see where we're at, truly. We've had a couple of results lately. We've missed out on a couple as well, but I think Hull KR bring everything to the table that a Super League side should be and are. I think they're a very, very good team, so we'll show them that respect. But I know the boys will be chomping at the bit to get at them. Brad's really keen to see where we're at, and should be a great game, and hopefully the fans will get behind us. Yeah,
they say in boxing, don't they? Styles make matches. And I think our defensive style against their attacking style, see who comes out. It should make for a really great contest.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot at stake, isn't it? Even though it's we're not even round 8, 9, whatever it is. We're not halfway yet, are we? So, but it'll be a good test for us to see where we're at in terms of our progression this year. KR won't give us anything, will they? They're a really, I think they're a dominating team in terms of the forwards and the pack, and then they've got the touches and the magic outside, haven't they? So yeah, we'll show them respect, but I think we can have a good go at them, definitely.
And we've got our other teams in action this weekend. Important, particularly for the reserves. I think the lads who you mentioned, Alfie there, Tom Nicholson, that they get a chance to get some game time and show that to Brad and the coaching staff that they're ready when required.
Yeah, we've got lots of requests for them to go out on loan to other clubs, but we're resisting that. We want them to play for the Rhinos badge, and that's what they'll be doing this weekend. And it's a great chance for them to, they're not far off, and a couple of things here and there, and they could easily be in the team. So we've got to prepare them well. Yeah, and the reserves have got a game this week, so it'll be interesting to see how they go on.
And Friday night is our Net Zero game, Journey to Net Zero. So we've got a special edition of the Q&A podcast on Thursday when our Operations Director, Sue Ward, who is all things ESG here at the Rhinos, Sue will be taking your questions. So get them into info@therhinos.co.uk and we'll put those questions to Sue, or put a comment in the wherever you've seen this feed on social media and across our YouTube channel. Of course, you're a electric car driver, so you're all fully on board. See your car plugged in here in the South Stand at the McDonnell EV car chargers. Yeah. You're fully on board.
Yeah, charging every day, mate, Phil. Charged up every day.
He's just glad when he goes downhill on the M62, he can just cruise for that bit and save
3 hours,
save a bit of charge.
Yeah.
You never seen a man sweat when he sees the traffic jam more than
electric anxiety. Yeah, that's what. Don't use indicators. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe and give us a 5-star review so we can continue to spread the word about Leeds Rhinos and our podcast. It's been great to have you on board. Thanks for all the feedback you've been giving us. We'll keep bringing them to you. We're back on Thursday for our Q&A edition, and then get your questions into info@therhinos.co.uk, and we'll put those questions, particularly around all things green, ahead of our Net Zero game on Friday against Hull KR. We can't wait to see you down here at AMT Henley. It's going to be one of the games of the season. Hull KR have been in fantastic form this season, and they'll be taking on the Rhinos. The Robins will travel in force, so make sure you're here. Tickets are on sale. Go to tickets.therhinos.co.uk to get your ticket, to make sure you're here to back the boys. And I really feel this weekend is when the 2025 Betfred Super League is going to get lift off, and we're going to get some exciting Friday night rugby here at AMT Henley. We can't wait. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.